So, for the final race before the lunch break, it's time for mini-max action, and your grid is as follows. Jaden Thien in the 107 from the Netherlands will have Tim Gerhards in the number 50 alongside for company. Max Knappen and Enzo Bol make it a clean sweep for the Dutch nation on road number 2 in numbers 148 and 155. Jasper Lehnert and Jules Van Zyl round out the top 6 ahead of Nick Gerhards, Teun Schmidt, Matthias van Gotham and Maxim Shurko. Just a quick paddock announcement that there is no podium ceremony this evening. Just thought we'd bring that to your attention. The podium ceremony will be tomorrow night. We'll try and start that a little bit earlier than 5:15 this afternoon. Thank you. So, in terms of the grid for this particular race, again, it will be another 11-minute plus an additional lap encounter around the 1,360-meter circuit here at Karting Genk, the home of champions, based in the Limburg region in Belgium. It's always a pleasure to come back to this fantastic circuit. It's actually the circuit where I actually started. Oh, we've got a spinner already, and that is the 135 of Maxim Shurko, unfortunately there, who's just come a cropper, I think, on the formation lap. So Maxim needs to get to the rest of the field. He's a good corner or so behind, having that spin at turn 7. So it's Thien from Gerhards, with Thien, for those watching on the live stream at home, on the left-hand side of your screen when they go into the tram lines. So it's a Dutch 1, 2, 3, 4 with 2 Belgians behind. We'll see what happens over the next 11 minutes plus an additional lap. Red lights on the starting gantry. Do we get lights out this time? Yes, we do. Off into turn 1. Oh, it's very close between the likes of 155 of Enzo Bol, who's trying to force a move and goes up into second initially, as several drivers, I count 4 of them. Whoa, that's a really... Jasper Lehnert, where did you come from, sunshine? That was from 5th to 2nd, as everyone was squabbling over 2nd place, including Enzo Bol, who got the jump trying to go into 2nd from 4th position. But what an opportunist Jasper Lehnert from Belgium in the 177 is, as there's more curbs being bounced off of. And that includes the likes of the number 50 of Tim Gerhards. So Tim, again in the trenches, in the wars. And I don't think he's out of the woods yet. Enzo Bol looks to be a little bit further down the order. I think that's probably... Yep, that's 5th position. And behind is the 148 of Max Knappen, who started on row 2. So already we've had pushing, shoving, elbows out, curb hopping. What's next? Anything's possible in karting. But we do now have a very clear leader, as Enzo Bol is contesting 4th place with Nick Gerhards at the minute. So I think that is Jaden Thien in the 107 from the Netherlands that is leading away. Tim Gerhards in 2nd. Jasper Lehnert's up into 3rd. Meanwhile, the battle for 4th. Nick Gerhards and Enzo Bol battling it out tooth and nail, coming through the right-hand sweeper at turn number 8. And, well, Enzo Bol is side by side with Nick Gerhards going into turn 10, but comes up trumps and goes ahead of the number 60. That's 4th position for the 155. And the position has swapped again on turn 11. Just out of, well, it was probably the entry point of turn 11, which is just outside of my commentary viewpoint, as Bol is at it again with Nick Gerhards and goes up the inside into turn number 2. Nice and cleanly there from the 155 to retake that position, which is 4th, as the top 3 are pretty spread out now. So you've got Jaden Thien nearly 1.5 seconds ahead of Tim Gerhards. Jasper Lehnert is a further 1.2 seconds adrift of the Dutch driver in the number 50. Nick Gerhards and Enzo Bol are battling over what is 4th position. Bol has got about a kart length advantage going through turn 9, but whilst they've been squabbling, Matthias van Goethem and Jules Van Huyl has now got closer and closer, and from 5th to 7th, it's just over 1.1 seconds between the trio. So whilst Enzo Bol and Nick Gerhards are actually battling with each other, the two behind are starting to catch. Just want to see what the gap is between them. It's gone to just under a second between Matthias van Goethem in 6th position and Nick Gerhards in 5th, as Enzo Bol is now trying to break the deadlock between himself and Nick Gerhards for 4th place, which hopefully might allow Enzo to catch up to Jasper Leenerts, who is a further 1.473 seconds up the road. 7 minutes 20 plus an additional lap to go in this first of 2 races for Minimax here today, and there'll be a further 2 tomorrow. Quick glance over the right shoulder from Jaden Thien, who has Tim Gerhards for company, and I think, well, Gerhards has just done a 1 minute 0, or has he just done? He's done a pretty quick lap, a 59.646, and that's the quickest of anybody. He's taken over 4 tenths out of Jaden Thien. Gap now down to just under 7 tenths. Tim Gerhards has clearly got the bit between the teeth and is really putting up a great show, making amends for what happened at the kickoff, which was to no detriment or no fault of his own just 4 weeks ago. And that gap is absolutely coming down. That is really being truncated by the number 50 of Tim Gerhards as they come through the exit of turn 11. And it's 2.5 kart lengths between 1st and 2nd. Gerhards now in striking range of Jaden Thien for the lead of this race. 6 minutes to go, plus an additional lap. The gap was absolutely scythed away, and Gerhards goes for it and takes it cleanly up the inside of Jaden Thien. Goes ultra defensive coming out of turn 3. But what a show by Tim Gerhards to claw back a huge deficit over 3 laps. It was over 1.1 seconds, and in 3 laps, he clawed into that, scratched it away to one side, and went up the inside of Jaden Thien into turn 2 ultra cleanly. That's impressive. It just goes to show that racecraft and performance come hand in hand, and that's what Tim Gerhards has in spades, and he's been showing that ever since we went green nearly 6 minutes ago. But it's coming up to the last 5 minutes plus 1 additional lap here in our last race before the lunch break. And the gap now has swung in the favour big time of Tim Gerhards to 6 tenths. So that means he's made there's been a detriment towards Jaden Thien to the tune of nearly 1.8 seconds over the last 4 laps. And that also included him losing the lead to Tim Gerhards. The gap now is 6 tenths, and it's a little bit further back, actually just over 3.8 seconds to Jasper Leenerts in 3rd. Enzo Bol and Nick Gerhards are about half a second adrift. That is the battle for 4th and 5th. But I think the battle between Leenerts and Bol and Nick Gerhards is getting closer. That gap is now less than 1.2 seconds between the trio. That's 3rd to 5th place. So Leenerts is going to have to watch what Enzo Bol does, as there's 4 minutes plus an additional lap. The gap was nearly 6 tenths. It's going to be quite a lot less than that. And it's 2.5 tenths. 2.5 tenths between Enzo Bol and Jasper Leenerts in the 177. So Leenerts from Belgium is going to have to watch out from Bol from the Netherlands, as he's getting very close indeed. And that was very close going through turn number 6 there. But Boll has got the toe. He's got the momentum. They're heading into turn 7. He won't strike yet. There's still 3.5 minutes plus an additional lap on this race to go. And it is still all to play for. Still time left for anything to happen in this race. As Boll is coming right on the back bumper and sends it up past Leinert on the inside of turn 10. Very nicely, cleanly done by the 155. But Leinert is sticking with going through turn 12. Jaden Thien is now 1 second behind Tim Gerhards in terms of the lead of the race. Meanwhile, in front, Boll is ahead of Leinert, with Nick Gerhards pretty much getting very close to the back bumper of the 177. Was 4/10 adrift as the trio go through turns 5 and into the right-hand hairpin at turn number 6. So Tim Gerhard's just pulling away. He showed this kind of form 4 weeks ago at the kickoff, and today in this first heat, this first race, is going to help his campaign get off into flying style, because he will take the initial points lead, but it depends on who's going to go to Marienburg in early July when we leave karting Genk at the end of tomorrow. So 2 minutes plus an additional lap. Tim Gerhards crosses the line and does a 55.591. Jaden Thien sets his best lap of the race in the meantime, a 59.992. The gap, however, is 1.75 seconds as the movers happen between Nick Gerhards and Jasper Leinert. So Nick Gerhards now puts himself up into the lower position of a clean sweep for the Netherlands in the top 4 on that particular tour. 90 seconds plus an additional lap. A little bit further down the order, the gaps between Jules Van Hoel and Matthias von Goetham is now about 0.6 of a second. Is that going to be truncated in the next 1 minute 15 seconds plus an additional lap? I'd like to say I think so, but I'm not too sure. However, Leinert is still keeping in touch with Nick Gerhards. So the 177 from Belgium clearly wants that 4th place back. The gap now between Tim Gerhards and Jaden Thien is now just over 2 seconds. 2 seconds. That's incredible. That's a really good showing. And Tim Gerhards' best lap of the race, which is incidentally the fastest lap of this race, a 59.316, which was done around about 5 laps ago. Still running consistently in the 59.5s is Tim Gerhards. Jaden Thien still running in the 59.9s at the minute, so has done a 59.722 as his best lap, 59.909 last time around. 19 seconds plus 1 additional lap before we conclude the morning's action before the lunch break. And it looks to be that it's quite convincing that Tim Gerhards is just leading the way and is just pulling away magnanimously from Jaden Thien. Oh, that was very close. He crossed the timing line with 2 seconds on the clock to go. No, it's 2 laps to go. So he probably was just fractionally outside that window. So he goes through turn 4 for the penultimate time, does Tim Gerhards. Gap between himself and Jaden Thien now nearly 2 3/4 seconds on the start of the penultimate lap of this race. Then it's a further 5 seconds down to Enzo Boll, who's broken the toe on Nick Gerhards, who's a further 7/10 adrift. Jasper Leinert still keeping in touching distance and set his best lap of the race last time around, a 60.072 from the 177 from Belgium. So this time around, Tim Gerhards will be given the final lap board. And the gap to Jaden Thien was quite, well, it's gone up another 0.8. Need I say any more? Last lap around, Tim Gerhards was 0.039 off of his best lap on the last tour. Jaden Thien did a 1 minute 0.146. Actually, scrap that. 59.333 from Tim Gerhards. Jaden Thien was over 0.7 of a second slower on that particular lap. And now we're on the final one, as I can see that Tim Gerhards has just come through turn 9 for the final time. Into turn 10, the right-hander, before going onto the left at turn 11. And the checkered flag is being prepared for the number 50 from the Netherlands as Tim Gerhards cruises to victory here in Minimax final number 1 on day 1 of the championship. Jaden Thien crosses the line in second, over 4 seconds adrift. Enzo Boll secures third place ahead of Nick Gerhards, with Jasper Leenerts rounding out the top 5. But what an emphatic display from Tim Gerhards in the number 50. Just clawed a gap back of 1.1 seconds from Jaden Thien, who was leading, and then just went, you know what, I'm just going to pull away. And pull away from Jaden Thien did Tim Gerhards in the number 50. And convincingly took the win. So Tim Gerhards wins the first Minimax final of the weekend here at the BNL Karting Series at Karting Genk. Jaden Thien, 4 seconds adrift in second, before a further 5 seconds separated him and Enzo Boll, with Nick Gerhards, Jasper Leenerts, Jules Van Hoel, Matthias van Gotham, Max Knappen, Maxime Sechurko, who recovered from the